As many of you are going through your 2022 planning, the other cool thing about CloudHealth is that they can provide you with the reports and the analysis you might need today in November to help justify projects as part of your budgeting. But let me turn over to Amber to go over this in more detail.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ron. So yeah, you've lined up some great topics for everybody today. We know that security and compliance and cost management are some of the biggest challenges that our companies are facing in the cloud these days. I'm happy to switch gears a little bit here and talk with you about how to optimize your costs in the cloud. My name is Amber Gregorio, and I'm a product marketing manager at CloudHealth by VMware. I will be at AWS reInvent this year in person in Sin City. So if you're also going to be coming out to Vegas, you can look for me at the Marketplace Pavilion on Tuesday and Wednesday. I'll be there staffing our CloudHealth booth from 10 to 2. And you can also find me and my colleagues at the big VMware booth that's going to be right in the center of the expo hall there. Okay, so because you're here today, I'm going to assume that you have some role in managing your company's cloud. So you already know that cloud services and resources really enable your developers to make better applications faster. And this ultimately drives more revenue for you. It keeps you ahead of your competition. It's a competitive advantage for your company. But many companies get into the cloud and they learn quickly that the speed and agility come at a cost. So today I want to show you some specific ways that you can manage these costs at CloudHealth such that you don't impede that developer speed and agility. Okay, so if you've ever been the recipient of a scary cloud bill, you know exactly what I mean when I say that this agility comes at a cost. Your charges can rack up pretty quickly in this type of cloud environment where your services and resources are available on demand. In the public cloud, we don't have IT managers who are holding the company purse strings, so to speak. Instead, your developers have the ability to spend money directly in the cloud and spend it very quickly. So the big question facing many businesses today is, how do we drive financial accountability for that cloud spend without sacrificing the competitive advantage that we gain by moving faster than our competition? And a practice called FinOps has emerged as the answer to this question. There's even an organization called the FinOps Foundation, which CloudHealth by VMware is a part of. And the FinOps Foundation shares best practices and recommendations for optimizing your cloud costs and enabling your teams to really make the trade-offs that they're going to need to make between speed, cost, and quality of application delivery. So today, let's look at how you can do FinOps, if you will, with CloudHealth. The FinOps Foundation has laid out 3 phases of FinOps. In the first phase, what you really want to do is provide visibility into your usage and your spending so that you can split up shared costs and attribute them back to the teams that incurred these costs. Because if your developers don't know how much they're costing the business when they choose that fancy new resource that comes out, then they can't make better decisions when they're developing applications. So that's going to be the first step, is just giving everybody visibility into your usage and what it costs the business. Then after you have that visibility, you're going to start to optimize operations and improve efficiency in your organization. And then finally, what you'll want to do is implement policies and controls using automation where possible so that you can ensure that your processes keep you on budget and you meet all of your application performance needs on a continuous basis with less manual intervention. So here are just a few of the key capabilities that the FinOps Foundation says that you should have in each of these 3 phases. And I'm going to deep dive into each one of these bullets and show you how you can get it done with CloudHealth. So first, let's take a look at the inform phase. Here you want to start to understand, what the heck is going on in my cloud environment. So first you need to organize all your resources in CloudHealth so that you can generate some of the reports that will show you where your money is going. And CloudHealth has some really powerful tools that will help you organize all those resources and group them in ways that make sense for your business. So then you can really see and understand who's using what amount of shared resources. We have this feature called perspectives, and that allows you to group all of your resources in a relevant business context for you. So maybe you want to understand, what your dev environment is costing you, or what a particular application is costing you, or you want to see which team has idle resources running. And you can use the features perspective to very easily slice and dice your data in this way. We also have something called flex orgs that gives you a lot of flexibility to manage both small cloud teams and also very large complex organizational structures, and delineate across that complex organization who gets access and permissions to what and who can see what in the environment. And then after you've mapped your organization out in CloudHealth, you can start to generate reports with our SQL engine that will display the usage and costs that are going to be relevant to your team, so that you can analyze your workloads and do things like determine your projected costs and create reasonable budgets for each of your teams. And after you have this visibility into what your teams are spending, you can then start to manage your shared costs and perform show back or charge back to the teams that incurred those charges. So managing shared costs in the cloud can be really challenging, and it's only going to get more complex when you expand to multiple cloud providers, or if you have layers of cloud accounts that you're managing under your top level payer account. And oftentimes, the cloud provider like AWS will give you tools that will give you basic visibility, but sometimes you need more granularity to see so that you can actually do that charge back and show back. Maybe I should just quickly highlight what that is. So, this is a great way to drive accountability in your organizations for their spending. So chargeback is basically taking a look at the entire cloud bill and then charging back to each team their portion of the cloud bill. And a softer approach is just showing back, look, this is what you spent in the cloud this month, this is what that resource cost. And that way you can start to drive accountability. People will start to optimize on their own to try to have a better cost per unit. In CloudHealth, we also have this tag manager tool so that you can make sure that all of your resources are accounted for in your environment, and then you can properly attribute those costs. We also have tools that will enable you to put a custom cost in the tool or a custom line item so that you can account for any and every billing nuance that your business requires. And with these tools, you can account for, credits that you get from the cloud provider or charges that weren't imported from the bill that you want to take account for in a holistic picture, or perhaps third-party tools that you're using that are incurring charges. You want to include that in your overall picture. You can also create cost allocation rules that will divvy up the costs in your cloud bill according to certain parameters. So for example, if you're doing some, EBS volume testing and you generate some snapshot costs and associated with that testing, you can create a rule in CloudHealth that will allow you to distribute those costs to the owners of each test. So everybody gets charged for just what they're using. So these tools will enable you to really understand your fully loaded costs in the cloud and account for all of your unique business needs and begin to drive that accountability across your teams. All right, so now we're going to start to look at the second phase of FinOps, which is optimizing your environment. So here you want to start to, after you've informed your stakeholders of what they're spending, we have a whole bunch of tools. I could probably spend an entire hour just sharing with you all the different optimization tools that we have in CloudHealth. But I can't get into all of them today, so I'm just going to highlight a couple of things that we can help you do, such as uncovering resources that are running in your environment but are not being used. And we actually see this quite a bit. We call these zombie assets. And we have a standard report in CloudHealth called our Health Check Report, which will list all of these zombie assets and enable you to terminate them. We had one customer who told us that this report alone saves them an average of $27,000 per month by surfacing all of their unattached EBS volumes that need to be shut down. We also have numerous types of right-sizing recommendations. So if you're using EC2 instances that are perhaps too large for what you need, or if you're provisioning EBS volumes that don't make sense for your usage, we'll analyze the last 13 months of your data and recommend more appropriately sized resources. And we had one of our large customers tell us that in the first month after starting to use this optimization tool, our right-sizing recommendations actually saved them close to $90,000. So for this big customer, that added up to over $1 million a year in savings just from this one report. So these are just a couple of examples of how you can optimize the resources that you are using in the cloud in order to save money without hindering the application performance or development speed that is so critical to keeping you ahead of your competition. But in CloudHealth, we also have a number of tools that will help you optimize the rates that you are paying for the resources that you use. So one of the best ways to optimize your cloud rate or pay less per unit of resource that you're using is through commitment discounts that the cloud providers offer. So AWS has a number of different reserved instances and savings plans, and other cloud providers offer similar discounts. Essentially, if you commit to a certain amount of spending or usage over a period of time, they're going to give you a discount on that cost. But managing these commitment discounts can be actually a lot harder than you think. So we've built some tools to help you make the right choices around which ones to commit to and how much commitment to make. So what you see on the screen here is our Compute Savings Plans recommendation engine. And what this will do is give you a side-by-side comparison of all 6 of the compute savings plans options that are available from AWS, depending on your commitment length and how much money you're willing to pay upfront. So you can do no upfront, partial upfront, or all upfront, and you can do 1-year or 3-year commitments with savings plans. And you can set specific KPIs that your business has in order to indicate how much money you're willing to spend, you want to save with this savings plan, or how much you're willing to commit to spending per hour, or what percentage of your usage you want to be covered by the savings plan. So what percentage of your total usage should be discounted with this purchase. So we'll take in those KPIs and we'll spit out for you details of what each option will save you, what it will cost you upfront, what your effective discount rate will be, and your total coverage rate. And we can take into account existing reserved instances and savings plans that you already have. So then you can click on the option that looks best to you and drill down even further into the recommendation. So this is a really robust feature that can help you choose the optimal savings plan for your business and then help you manage those plans on an ongoing basis. Another tool I want to share with you is our convertible exchanger tool for convertible reservations. So if you purchased EC2 convertible RIs, you can exchange them for different types in the future if your usage or needs change. And our tool will review the convertible reservations that you have and make recommendations for more efficient types of RIs. And then you can actually go ahead and click the exchange button and make those exchanges right from the CloudHealth platform. So this makes it super easy to manage and optimize your reservations and savings plans in the future as your needs change. Okay, so now I want to talk about how to operate on a continuous basis. As you work through some of these initial optimizations, you're going to start to understand things about your business, like, for example, which size EC2 instance is appropriate for this customer-facing application, Or you might start to learn that, snapshots that are over 6 months old are just not relevant to your business anymore, so you don't need to save those and incur costs saving them. So in other words, as you do optimization, you're going to be able to identify parameters that make sense for your business. And once you've identified those parameters, you can make them standard company policies and implement them through alerts and automation. So CloudHealth has a policy builder engine that anyone can use, and it doesn't require any coding. And you can build policies with any of the data that's available in the platform. You can trigger alerts to be sent when a policy is violated or when the conditions of the policy are met. Or you can also trigger a number of automated actions so that something happens all on its own. So for example, you can make a policy that says, alert me when the monthly cost for my production environment is projected to increase by more than 10% compared to the previous month. Or maybe the monthly cost for my cost center is projected to exceed the budget that I've set in CloudHealth. You can also automate these policies. So for example, you can make a rule that says, if an elastic IP address is not associated with an instance for more than 2 weeks, just go ahead and terminate it. We don't need to investigate. We know that it's just floating out there and it should be terminated. You can also trigger a number of AWS Lambda functions, which opens up a whole range of possibilities of things that you can do with automation. So this is a powerful tool to keep your environment optimized for cost on a continuous basis. And finally, you're going to want to modernize your workloads so that you can make updates more easily and keep your applications running in tip-top shape according to current standards. So we have a couple of tools I'll talk about here. If you have some of your workloads that are still running in a private data center and you want to move them to the cloud, we have an assessment tool that will give you the cost of running your workload on a public cloud. So this can help you plan out which workloads should be migrated to the cloud. And if you're already a cloud company, you're probably thinking about rebuilding some of your applications using containers or building new applications in containers going forward. But understanding containerized costs adds another layer of complexity because the resources are shared in pods. So when a customer gets their cloud bill, they're charged per node, which is the Kubernetes equivalent of an EC2 instance. So they're getting a charge per node, but the problem is that each node is powering a whole bunch of different applications. There's not a one-to-one match of virtual machine to application like there is in the traditional infrastructure. So when this customer gets their bill and they see a charge for each node, they have no idea how much of that cost should be allocated to each team or application, and they struggle to charge back and drive that accountability. So CloudHealth will do this mapping for you. We'll get under the hood or inside the container and determine how much of your node resources went to each of your applications. So that with this visibility, you can start to manage your containerized application costs just like you would manage your traditional applications. So that's it from me today. I just wanted to give you a quick rundown of some of the tools that we have in CloudHealth to help you optimize your costs and drive the most revenue for your business.